Hello and welcome to the Patience to Prosperity podcast, where we learn how to act in opposition of our limiting beliefs in order to reach our fullest potential. Today is a really exciting episode because I'm covering a concept that I have struggled with throughout my entire life. We're talking about taking pride in your accomplishments. So, just leaning into my experience with this topic a little bit, I grew up in a household where we didn't really celebrate our accomplishments. I am the last of 5 kids. It wasn't that my parents did a bad job raising us by any means, but there were 5 of us. So there was only so many celebrations we could have for every little accomplishment that we endured throughout our lives. So, I didn't really grow up having birthday parties. I wasn't the kid who got $100 every single time they got A's on their report card. And I'm not saying that means that my childhood was bad. I want to preface that I had a great childhood and I'm so grateful for everything my parents did for me. But I wasn't conditioned growing up to even take pride in the little things because the big things weren't even that big of a deal. We didn't make a big fuss about accomplishments. So that's what primes me to hop on the mic today and talk about this specific concept, because it's something that has honestly haunted me throughout my entire life, and it's something that I'm constantly battling. And I think that putting together my thoughts before sitting down to record really helped me realize the areas in which I need to focus on more, and I think that this episode can really help you if this is something that you struggle with. So without further ado, let's jump in. We first have to assess why it's so hard for us to take pride in our accomplishments. I explained to you guys that it was something that was kind of brushed under the rug for me growing up, and maybe that's similar for you. Maybe that's why you feel like you have this barrier between fully being proud of the work that you put out into the world, even just in little tasks that you do every single day. And I think it's important to note that when you are completing a task, it does not matter how big the task is, how much it weighs, how much it really is going to bring value into your life. It does not matter how big it is. The fact that you have done something counts. Doing something is better than doing nothing. You are completing something that ultimately, no matter how small it is a fragment of who you are. It's a fragment of who you want to become. In this podcast, we talk so much about becoming your highest self. And every single time that you complete a task, even if it's just checking something off of a to-do list, every time that you complete a task, you are working towards your highest self. You are showing up for yourself, and that is only going to make it easier to show up for yourself in the future. So I'm just going to note some tips for taking pride in your accomplishments that I personally use every single day and have used in the past, and I think that you could also gain a lot from. So my number 1 tip. Before I say the word journal and you close off your ears to it because we're so tired of hearing the word journal when it comes to healing and changing and growing, I cannot stress enough how vital journaling is to your healing journey. Because number 1, you feel like you're accomplishing a task every single time you open that journal. That's why we push it off. That's why we procrastinate it. That's why we don't open our journals as much as we know we should. Because ultimately it feels like a task. But if you're going to make it feel like a task, then have it be something that you feel pride for when you close your journal at the end of that entry. So this past year, when I left for my freshman year of school, I started writing in a daily gratitude journal, which if you're unfamiliar with what that looks like, typically they're either a morning or night reflection. This one in particular that I used happened to be both. So in the morning, I would check in with myself and it would ask me questions like, how are we feeling this morning? What are you excited for today? what are 3 things you're grateful for, what are 3 affirmations, etc. And at the end of the day, it would ask me to reflect on my day. And one of the questions would be, what are some things that you are proud of yourself for doing today? And I noticed that the more I opened this journal and closed it at the end of the day, I felt like I was taking pride more in my accomplishments than I ever have, because I was becoming more aware of them. And that is something that is vital to note here. You cannot take pride for your accomplishments if you're not even aware of them. I feel like we just conditioned ourselves for so long to just check things off of a to-do list and to move on to the next thing. We're not taking a moment to actually think about how it's changing the trajectory of our days, let alone our lives. So this journal really helped me, because I'm not going to sit here and say that you doing this journal one day is going to help you ultimately throughout the entire course of your life. I can't sit here and say that to you, but the more and more that I wrote in this journal, as the days piled up, and it became habitual, it became something I just did every single time I opened my eyes in the morning and before I hit my head on my pillow at night. The more I did this, the more I was able to take pride in my accomplishments, because I would go through my days, and when I would accomplish a task, no matter how big or small it was, I took a mental note that it was something that I would be reflecting on later in that journal, which helped me ultimately condition my brain to understand that I was doing something that was working towards my highest self. And that is how you create habits, by being consistent. We know this. Consistency is key. You hear that all the time. But what does that actually mean? Consistency is what helps you create habits, because our brains are neuroplastic. And I talked about this in, I think, the first or second episode of this podcast, but basically in simpler terms, neuroplasticity is essentially how our brains are able to unlearn and learn things. So you create neurons in your brain every single time that you have a repeating thought. The more and more that you think something, the more prominent that neuron in your brain is going to be, which is why it makes it so hard to shake things like depression, because you have conditioned your brain over time to think negatively about, honestly, so many things in your life, because when you are in a state of depression, your thoughts are negative 95% of the time. So this idea of neuroplasticity is actually such a vital tool that we can use when creating habits, because it shows that there is scientific evidence to prove that we can create habits that can stick just based solely off the neurons in our brain, which is so incredibly cool. And I don't know if everyone finds that fascinating. Maybe it's just because I am studying psychology, but needless to say, you can literally work to create new neurons in your brain that generate positive thoughts, new thoughts that serve you better than the old ones. And that's not to say that this isn't going to take time. It takes time. I think studies have shown that it takes about 3 months to create and destroy a habit. You honestly just have to put it into the perspective where you could be spending those 3 months getting absolutely nowhere by not taking pride for your accomplishments, by not trying to change the negative thought patterns that are going through your head every single day, and just accepting that they're there, even though they're eating you alive every single day. Those 3 months are going to go by no matter what. Whether you are doing something to help and to get you to where you want to be, or if you're just staying stagnant in your journey. You decide. You are in the driver's seat of your life. You are in charge of every single decision that you make in your life. And I think it's vital to also point out the fact that we have thousands of decisions to make every single day. We are constantly making decisions. From the point of when we want to get out of bed in the morning, what we choose to have for breakfast, when we choose to leave our house in the morning to get to work. Whatever it is, we are making so many decisions every single day. And that's something that also goes so unnoticed because it's just something that is in our human nature. It's something that we do every single day. As humans, we are such a developed species that we don't even think about the fact that we have free range to do whatever we want every single day, and there are unlimited capacity for decisions to be made in our daily lives. So with that being said, the reason I bring that up is because you have the decision to make whether you want to truly change your life. And it can be hard, and it's going to be hard, but you can't give up on yourself so early into the process just because it's getting hard, because then your habit's not going to stick and then you're going to feel like a failure. I feel like so often we start doing something. For example, you make it a goal for yourself to go and exercise in the gym 6 days a week. And you start off really well. Maybe you start off really killing it in the gym for 3 weeks in a row. And then you reach this breaking point. You reach this point of burnout. And burnout is something that I have reached far too many times in my life, and it's something that I'm going to actually upload an episode on for this season, so stay tuned with that, because burnout is something that I think we could always learn from and we could always gain more perspective and experience from. But going off what I was saying, you are going to reach a place of burnout, one, when you are putting too many eggs in one basket and you are setting unattainable goals for yourself from the beginning. And two, inevitably you have bad days. You're going to have days in the gym where you don't feel as good as others. And when you're first starting off in your journey, these bad days have so much power over you. They have the power to either break or completely transform your journey, because you can take this bad day and look at it as, oh my God, I've lost it all. I've lost all my progress. This is it. I'm done. I did 3 weeks. I can't possibly do this anymore. It's too much on my body. It's too much on my brain. It's taking too much of my time. I can't do it anymore. I can't be this committed to working out 6 days a week anymore. Or you can look at it as, okay, it's a bad day. It's not a bad life. I have had so many bad days in my life before, but all they've ever done is taught me that the sunshine is so beautiful. It's so necessary. And I say all the time, no rain, no flowers. You have to have those bad days in order to actually appreciate and understand what the good ones feel like, how truly good they feel. When we are working out 6 days a week and we get to that 3-week mark and we're burnt out, that teaches us to slow down. That teaches us that we are maybe moving a little too fast and that we need to show ourselves more compassion, especially at the beginning of our journey, because we're still learning so much. And when you're trying to move so fast and you're trying to see results in the gym as fast as you possibly can, you are clouding your mind from seeing all of the progress that you're making, from seeing all of the lessons that you can be taking things from. There's so much to learn around us constantly, but you are only going to learn as much as you allow yourself to. You're only going to take lessons from the things that you allow yourself to take lessons in. So you have to be open-minded in life. You have to look at things through a different perspective. Take off the rose-colored glasses that you've had on for so long. Shed these limiting beliefs that you have carried with you throughout your entire life, because I'm here to tell you that they do not serve you any good, and they actually never have. They are only stopping you from reaching the level of prosperity that you are capable of reaching. And I know for a fact that you are capable of reaching this. You just have to hone in on what you're capable of. And when you can't take pride in your accomplishments, it's really hard to understand what you're capable of, because every single day is just like Groundhog Day for you. You're just working to check things off of that to-do list, like I said in the beginning. You're not actually taking a moment to reflect on how much it's capable of transforming you into the person that you want to be. So moving on to my next tip. Number 1 was that daily gratitude journal. So please look into that if you feel called to after I gave you that whole spiel, because it's something that really, really helped me over time, and I think that it can really help you as well. It does not take a lot of time. It takes 5 minutes out of your morning. Just wake up 5 minutes earlier, which is something that you should already be doing anyways if you want to get off to a good start in the morning. So it really just helps ground yourself in the morning and at night, and there's absolutely no harm that can come out of it. So get rid of those limiting beliefs that are telling you, oh, it's going to take too much time, it's not actually going to do something, whatever it is. It's going to help you, I promise you. You're going to feel so much better after you do it. Needless to say, you don't have to go and spend $20 on a journal. You can spend $5 on a notebook and you can write out prompts for yourself every morning. And if that's something that you feel more called to, send me a DM and I will give you the prompts that I use, or the ones that I used in my personal journal that I bought. So just reach out if you are needing some assistance on that. But moving on, number 2, make to-do lists. This is something that I literally cannot live without. I have a planner that I use literally every single day, and you can ask any of my friends. I don't shut up about this planner because I genuinely cannot function without it. If I don't write down things, I completely forget about them. I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't know what I have to do in my day. I really cannot survive without a planner. And maybe that's not you. Maybe you're someone who has a really good memory and you don't need to write out your days. You don't really need any assistance. But for me personally, getting a planner was the best decision I've ever made. And you should see my planner. Every single page is filled to the max. There is no white space whatsoever. And what I want to note here is that I will make to-do lists every day for myself. And I want to note before I even get into this that when you're making your to-do list, please make sure that it is an attainable to-do list. If you see yourself writing 50 things to do in one day, you already know in the back of your head that you're not going to be able to accomplish all of these things, which is only going to add to the fire of not being able to take pride for your accomplishments. So please note that you need to make your to-do list attainable for you. I would say try to prioritize 5 things in your day that you really need to get done. One of them should be something that you have been procrastinating for a while. When you get that checked off, it's going to make you feel better than anything else in your day, honestly, because when you're procrastinating something, that's another concept I'm going to get into in another episode, but procrastination is something that can ultimately really kill your ability to take pride in your accomplishments, because it just makes you feel lazy. It just makes you feel like you're, making these tasks so much longer and so much heavier than they have to be. So when we're making these to-do lists, make one of the things something that you've been procrastinating. Make one thing that you really have to get done that day. Make another thing something fun for you, something that is going to bring you back to yourself. And those are just some examples of what your to-do list should look like. But a concept that I want to note that you might think is a little funny when I say, and you might already do, honestly, is when you're making your to-do list, or when you have already made your to-do list, I should say. I often find myself adding things to my to-do list that I already accomplished that day that I just didn't write down on my to-do list, just so that I can check it off. And why I add this is because this is going to help you take pride for your accomplishments, because you're going to see that you have a longer to-do list at the end of the day, and you did things that you didn't even plan to do when you created that list in the beginning of the day, which is going to give you some instant gratification. It's going to show you that you are doing things, you are accomplishing things throughout your day without you even realizing it. And it wasn't until you wrote that down on your to-do list that you were able to feel a little sense of gratification from it just by checking that little box on that piece of paper. So that might sound stupid to you, but it's something that has helped me, and I continue to do it every single day. And it wasn't until I sat down and I kind of thought about what I wanted to say on this episode that I realized that that's something that actually has helped me take pride in my accomplishments. So I wanted to add that here. Moving on. Number 3, you have to avoid comparison when you're trying to take pride for the work that you are putting into the world. And this is something that I really just had to note, because how do you expect yourself to take pride in your accomplishments when you're comparing everything you do to the person next to you? The person next to you has a different life than you. They live a different lifestyle than you. They have a different perception of what is hard and what is easy. Their depth perception is completely different than you. So they might be able to take pride in something that might seem so minuscule to you, but it can brighten their entire day, and they can live the rest of their day in a sense of pride that you would only feel by running a freaking marathon. So what's the point of comparing yourself to this other person? You're only robbing yourself of joy, robbing yourself of the pride that you can be taking in these accomplishments when you're comparing yourself to your neighbor. Number 4, you have to step outside of your comfort zone in order to take pride in your accomplishments. I constantly note that stepping out of your comfort zone is vital for your growth in this podcast. And it's something that you're probably going to get sick of, but I don't care, because it's something that is so vital in your healing journey. And I'm going to say it until it sticks. I'm going to say it until you truly believe that it is necessary in your journey, because absolutely no growth happens inside of your comfort zone. If you are okay with living your life exactly how you are right now, even though you know that some of the things you're doing are not congruent with your highest self, they're not acting in alliance to who you want to become, then how do you expect yourself to change? How do you expect yourself to get there if you're not pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, outside of what's familiar? You're never going to get there if you don't experience the uncomfortable. So stepping outside of your comfort zone leads you to take more pride in the tasks that you endure every single day, because it proves to yourself that you are stronger than you think you are. It proves to yourself that you are taking the tangible steps that you once wouldn't take, that you once wouldn't even think to take because they were too uncomfortable to even think of and to put yourself through. So know that every single time you push yourself out of your comfort zone, you are ultimately acting towards your highest self. You are doing something not because it feels comfortable to you, but because you know that it is going to get you to a place that you have never been before. Because right now, you might feel really uncomfortable going through something that you have never been through before. But that exactly put is why it feels uncomfortable. You've never been through it before. It's not familiar to you. So that's not to say that when you're going through something that is uncomfortable, that means that it's wrong. And this is something that I think we often misconstrued when we're going through the healing process. We get to these points where we feel a lot of resistance because maybe the task at hand seems so far outreach. Maybe it seems like it's going to take so much work and we just don't know if we're capable of it yet because we haven't shown ourselves that we're capable of it yet. Maybe this task is something that we are not completely confident that we are able to sustain in the long run. And that creates a lot of resistance within us because it's coming from a place of uneasiness and unsureness because we, like I said, have not proven to ourselves that we're capable of doing that. But the more consistent you are, the more you show up for yourself, the more you push yourself out of your comfort zone, the more likely it is going to come clear to you throughout this journey that exactly what you're doing every single time you push yourself out of your comfort zone is what you should be doing. It is the path that you should be taking. We often misconstrued resistance as a telltale to stop what we're doing and give up on our dreams, give up on the goal that we have set for ourselves. But just because it's uncomfortable does not mean that it is the wrong path. It doesn't mean that we are doing something wrong. The next tip I want to give you guys today is setting some sort of reward system for you. Now, this is going to seem sort of childish because when we think of a reward system, we ultimately think about a child and how we have to, reward them with gummy bears when they eat all their veggies. But sometimes we kind of have to treat ourselves like children. Sometimes we got to baby ourselves a little bit, and we have to get in touch with our inner child. Just like last season was all about healing your inner child. Sometimes we just have to be in touch with the smaller human that's always been living inside of us, because that's the person that we truly are to our core. That's the person that teaches us how to feel joy, how to feel pride in our accomplishments. Because the littlest things used to bring us so much joy. The littlest tasks that we used to go through when we were younger used to make us feel so proud of ourselves, to the point where we would be like, Mommy, look what I did. Dad, look what I did. Don't you remember yourself saying that constantly when you were younger? You constantly wanted people to see that you were doing things that you never did before. So why has that narrative changed for you just because you have experienced a few extra years in your life? Why do we let go of that part of us? Why do we let that fire die inside of us when it was only ever trying to burn deeper and deeper and brighter? Stop letting that flame burn out. Stop letting that inner child be silenced, because I'm sure that there were so many times in your life when you were a small child, you felt silenced. And that's where all this trauma is stemming from now, that is leading you to come to my podcast and to listen to all the things that I have to talk to you about, because we're all going through trauma. We're all trying to heal from our past experiences, and you're so much stronger than you think you are. You are not the person that you used to be. You are so much wiser now. You're so much stronger now. You're full of so much love and so much light, and you have so much strength within you that you are not even aware of yet. And if I can even, for a glimpse, make you see how much you're capable of, then I have done my part in this world. I just want you to know that before I dive a little deeper into this tip. Just know that you are so incredibly capable of reaching the dreams that you have set forth for yourself. Because if that dream came through, if that goal came through, it came through for a reason. There is a reason why you were put on this earth, and the dreams that are coming through that you're finding so hard to just put to bed and to just stop thinking about, they're coming through for a reason, and you are just not sure yet how you're going to accomplish it, and that's okay, because you haven't done that yet. You haven't put yourself through the work to get there yet. So of course you're not going to know what to do yet. But you showed up for yourself today, and that is the most that you can ever ask of yourself. Just you listening in today is you showing up for yourself. So going back to this reward system that we are going to implement for ourselves. Using the reward system is a really great way of taking pride for the tasks that you are accomplishing in your day-to-day life, because not only are you able to look forward to something after you do these tasks, but you're also creating a habit when you tell yourself that when you accomplish this task, you get something from it. And that positive reinforcement shows you that what you're doing is positive, that what you're doing is helping you, and it's something that you shouldn't just overlook. So that's not something that I'm going to get really deep into, but just know that this reward system doesn't need to just go away because you are a little older. My last tip is helping others. Now, this might be a shocker to you. You might be thinking right now, how the hell does helping others help me feel pride for my accomplishments? Wouldn't that just take away from myself? Wouldn't that just make others feel good? But helping others actually gives you so much self-gratification, and it proves to you how smart you actually are, how competent you actually are to accomplish the task at hand. Like in grade school, you might have heard your teachers say that the best way of learning is by teaching other people. That is because when you teach someone else the steps it takes to get to the result that you are trying to attain, you are literally connecting the dots in your own brain. You are putting all of the pieces together in a way that makes sense to you to get you to that outcome that you desire. So teaching other people, not only are you going to feel that gratification from understanding that you are more competent than you think, but that other person is also going to be grateful for your help. They're going to thank you. They're going to make you feel like you did something because ultimately you have. You've helped them. You have made their lives a little bit easier, which makes you feel a little bit better about what you're doing. So helping others is something that's huge and I feel like often gets overlooked. You are put here to be helped by others and to help others. We are not put into this life to go through it solo. We are put into this life to love and to be loved. So that's all that I have for today's episode. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it because this was a concept that I've been wanting to talk about for a little while now because it's been weighing pretty heavy on my heart. And I think that's why it was just so easy to sit on and talk about today because like I said in the beginning of this episode, I've dealt with this concept throughout my entire life. And I think that it's something that I'll have to keep feeding into as I get older and as the tasks that I endure get harder and they seem more unattainable and out of grasp. But that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this, because you guys really don't understand how much it helps me to sit here and talk about things that you might be struggling with, because they're things that I have struggled with in the past or I am struggling with right now. And I just think it's really beautiful to note that. So thank you for the space that we're creating here. I hope that you feel a sense of peace, you feel a sense of reassurance after listening to this episode. I can't thank you enough for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this episode and you got anything from it, please make sure to leave a review either on Apple or Spotify and let me know how you like the show. Let me know what things you think I should change, whatever it is. I'm open to any constructive criticism. And leave a rating out of 5 stars because it really helps the show. It helps me reach other people just like you. And share this episode with someone that you think might need to hear it or could just be an eye-opener for anyone in your life. Reach me at Patience to Prosperity on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, whatever it is. I upload episodes every Monday, and if you want to be notified when I upload, then please subscribe to the show. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next week. Remember, come as you are and leave better.